All right. Hello, hello, ladies. I think I am live. I'm just getting myself set up here and pulling up my camera. I've got my Zoom here. I've got my Facebook Live here. We are ready to rock and roll. And I am just going to find where my Zoom camera is so that I can see if anyone's joining me. Perfect. There we go. So I have set it up today so that if you guys do want to join me inside Zoom, I have posted the link inside the group. So you're just going to have to go there if you want to join me on Zoom. If not, you can certainly just participate on Facebook because I'm watching both of them. So if you have any questions, I can see them both. And what we're doing today is we're talking about the 10 pillars of successful weight loss. And really my intention today is to give you guys a bird's eye view of my philosophies, my strategies, my methods, my background, how I approach weight loss for not just women in perimenopause, but just pretty much anyone. And then just kind of give you guys an idea of sort of the type of information that you're going to find inside this group. If you have been here for a while and you've watched a couple of my episodes, but you're still trying to piece it all together, this is going to be a good one to watch. If you've been here for a while, this is going to be a good one to watch because it'll give you a bird's eye view and a little bit of a reminder of certain things that you may have forgotten. But really, what I want to show you in this episode is that science, there's a real science to weight loss, and it is a lot more complicated than calories in, calories out. And I am on a mission to educate women about their body functions, how their metabolism functions, how their hormones function, why going on restrictive calorie diets is not the answer. And I want to get this information out to as many women as I can, because I feel like the diet industry sucks and it's been leading us in the wrong direction. And I want to give you ladies control, and I think knowledge is power. So we're going to dive in. Again, this is kind of an overview today. I'm not diving into the nitty gritty because I don't have time. We would need an entire weekend to dive into the nitty gritty of what I'm talking about today. If you are new here, I can see a couple of ladies watching me on Facebook. Hi, Toby. It was so nice. You're here live. Miraculous. So wonderful. If you are new to my live workshops, I'm always going to ask you, can you please say hello in the comments? And so you can put your name in the comments. Tell me where you are from. If you are catching, and just put the word live. If you are catching this on replay, put a replay in the comments and tell me where you're from. And I'm going to ask you to do this every single time because it helps me to get this video out to more of the women in our community. If you don't comment, a lot of the women inside this community will never see this workshop because Facebook has very specific algorithms. And if you don't think this is interesting, they're not going to keep sending it out to women. So if you could pay it forward to me right now, thank you so much, Jill. Thank you so much, Trish. Thank you so much, Zahida. Pay it forward, put a live or a replay so that I can help push this out to the over 2,600 women inside this group, and we are going to get started. Okay, so what I want to do to begin with is I want to explain to you 3 basic principles about metabolism. And this is really important. Hi, Janice. Thank you, Janice. This is really important. You have to understand this to understand the 10 pillars, okay? And again, like if you're new here, like grab a piece of paper, grab a pen. Like I am literally going to give you a bird's eye view of what I've been trying to figure out now for over 10 years of like trying to map it all together, because it is extremely complex. And it has taken me literally 10 years to kind of create a map of all of these pillars. So I'm telling you, this is juicy. Make sure you're paying attention. Get rid of your phone, put down your distractions, and listen up. Okay, so number one, this is the number one thing you need to understand about metabolism is that your metabolism is an energy regulator. Okay, write that down. Energy regulator, which means that it's in constant surveying mode. Okay, and what it's doing is it's assessing like what energy is available, what energy are we expending, what energy do we have stored in our body, and it is constantly adapting to maintain energy balance. Your body does not like to be in a caloric deficit. Okay, you have to understand that. And when your body senses a caloric deficit, right? So when there's a difference between calories in and calories out, which is what we do when we go on a diet to lose weight, your metabolism reacts not instantaneously, but within the first 2 to 3 weeks. And what it's going to do is it's going to start to adapt or compensate. Your metabolic rate will slow down. You'll start to have more hunger. Your cravings will increase. You'll start to have like less energy, less motivation. And this is all your body like adapting to this caloric deficit and trying to conserve energy. So that's one principle you need to understand. Number two is you need to understand that your metabolism is a stress barometer. That's another key word to write down, stress barometer. So it is constantly assessing both internal and external stressors, and it is adapting to those stressors, once again, to maintain homeostasis or just, proper, like just to keep you happy, to keep you safe, to keep you functioning properly. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it's working in your favor, it really is, right? And so stressors, and we'll kind of get into this, but this is like a poor diet, not enough sleep, inflammation, a stressful job. Like just understand that your metabolism, and by the way, metabolism, when I'm referring to metabolism, I'm referring to all of the biological processes that basically burn calories. Okay, we can talk more about metabolism another time, but you have to understand that it's constantly assessing and it's adapting to that. The third thing that you need to understand about your metabolism is that we each have our own unique metabolic identity. Okay, so your metabolism is different from my metabolism. Janice has her own metabolism. Kelsey has her own metabolism. Trish has her own metabolism. And this is going to be basically, it's based on, like, depending on how old you are. I'm 47. I have 47 years worth of decisions that have created my unique metabolic identity. And this goes back to what my mom ate when I was in the womb. It goes back to the fact that I was born via C-section instead of via vaginal canal. It has to do with how many antibiotics I took as a child. It has to do with how many diets I've taken in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and what my food choices have been, generally speaking. It depends on where I'm at in perimenopause, what kind of metabolic adaptations my body has had to adjust to. And so we are all unique. Okay, so those are the first three principles. And when you understand that, then you understand that because of that, again, calories in, calories out is one part of weight loss, but it is about way more than that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the 10 pillars of successful weight loss. And you'll see that I'm going to refer back to those three principles. Okay. But again, energy regulator, stress barometer, and unique metabolic identity. You have to understand that about your metabolism in order to be more strategic about how you're going to lose weight. Okay. So toggle or pillar number one is calories, because yes, calories matter, right? Calories matter. If you eat a ton of food, even if it's the right food, you're going to gain weight. That's called a positive energy balance. And in order to lose weight, we do need to be in a negative energy balance. But calories are not the be all end all of weight loss. There are 9 more pillars. Okay. It's just part of it. There's way more to it. And there's a lot of sort of discussion you know, on sort of like some people in the fitness industry or the diet industry say it's all about the calories, and some will say it's all about your hormones, and some will say it's all about the macros. And really, again, those are like three different elements of a bigger picture. And so understand that it's a bigger picture, and this is just one element. One of the main things that you need to understand about your calories is that when you're creating a deficit, you have to create what is sustainable. How can you create a sustained caloric deficit, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose? If you have like 60 pounds weight to lose, well, it's going to take you a while, right? And so you need to figure out how to create a caloric deficit that you can sustain long enough that you can reach your goal. And so if you drop down to 1,000 calories a day and you do 2 protein shakes or 2 of those packaged shakes, probably not sustainable, okay? And then the second thing or the third thing to understand about calories is that you want to, when you're creating this deficit, you're doing it in a way that is going to minimize the first principle of metabolism, which is that it is an energy regulator, and it's going to compensate for your lack of calories coming in. So we're going to be smart about it. And that is going to be pillar number 2, which I'm going to talk about next. Okay. All right. Hello. If you are joining me, put a live or a replay right now in the comments. Let me know where you're joining me from. Super pumped to have you all here. Okay. Number 2, the second principle is that you have to start thinking of your weight loss in terms of having different stages, or like when we think of dieting, women think of it like linear dieting. Go on a diet, cut my calories until I reach my goal weight. A much better approach that is starting to gain more popularity, like on sort of like social media, is this concept of non-linear dieting. So non-linear dieting basically just means that instead of like chronically caloric, like restricting your calories, you break it up, right? You break it up. Again, we're trying to minimize the impact of metabolism as an energy regulator. And there's different ways of doing this. So for instance, you can take diet breaks, right? So you can go like, I'm gonna hardcore diet for 6 weeks, and then I'm gonna take 2 weeks off, just to let my body upregulate again. And then I'm gonna go back into a fat loss phase. You can do refeeds, right? This is another popular way of doing it, where you would basically just watch your calories maybe 5 days a week and increase your calories on the weekend to make sure that your metabolism isn't down regulating. Or you can use diet variation. Like there's so many different ways of doing it, like lower carb days, higher carb days, lower calorie days, higher calorie days. The basic sort of, the main thing I want you, key takeaway here is don't do the same thing every day. Don't restrict your calories all the time. Start to incorporate periods of time where you go back to maintenance, okay? All right, the third pillar, again, I said I'm going through these quickly because I'm trying to keep this to half an hour today. Pillar number 3 is sleep. Sleep, okay? Has nothing to do with what you're eating, but everything to do with what you're eating. So your sleep, the quality of your sleep will affect your caloric intake. It's going to affect your hormones. It's going to affect your consistency, your ability to adhere to whatever diet you're on, okay? Because if you're not sleeping properly, you're going to have more of the hunger hormone ghrelin. You're going to have less of the hormone leptin that signals to your brain that you are full. You're going to have a bigger appetite. You're going to have more cravings. Your insulin resistance is going to go up, which is going to tell your body to store fat. You're going to have less energy. And we all know what we do when we're tired. What do we do at 3 o'clock? We certainly don't go make ourselves a salad. We grab a muffin or a bagel or a chocolate bar. And it impacts your decision-making ability. And nobody wants to go home and cook a healthy meal from scratch when they're tired, okay? All right, number 4, we're moving on. I told you, we're going through them quickly today. Number 4 is NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it is probably one element of your weight loss sort of pillars that most women do not think about whatsoever. So NEAT is basically, it's all slow movement. When you go grocery shopping, when you're making dinner, when you're making the bed, when you're picking up, cleaning the house, I don't know, all of these like small tasks that you do during the day is called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And it all is a way of burning more calories, right? So when women typically want to lose weight, what do? They eat less and they exercise more because they want to create that gap between energy in, energy out. They want to create that deficit. The beauty about NEAT is that you can increase how many calories you're burning without adding stress to the body. And we're going to talk about stress in a second here. But understand that any kind of exercise, with the exception of walking, any other kind of exercise, and like yoga and Tai Chi, that kind of stuff, but any other kind of exercise is going to be a stressor on the body. It's going to stimulate the stress response. It's going to stimulate the nervous system. And when you have too many stress, when you have stress, and it piles up, all of that, again, remember, the metabolism is a stress barometer. It's going to adapt. And there are different ways that, and we're about to talk about stress, so I won't go into it. But just understand, do not underestimate the power of folding your laundry. Okay. So I want you to just move as much as you can. Just don't sit on the couch, right? Doesn't mean you have to be like power walking or doing HIIT or going to CrossFit or doing spin classes or whatever it means. You're just moving. And in fact, if you look at total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories, and you break that down, I did this in one of my workshops, and I showed you that NEAT burns way more calories than intentional exercise. So move more. All right, moving on. We're going to go into number 5, which is stress management. So again, here, because we know that the second principle that we need to understand about the metabolism is that it is a stress barometer, then we know that what we're trying to, if we're stressed out, what happens is that if you're stressed out chronically, you're going to be forcing adaptations to your HPA axis or your hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, which includes your adrenals, which triggers cortisol. Cortisol is a fat storing hormone. Basically, to kind of shorten it, you've got to manage cortisol. And the best way to think about it is that when it comes to stress management, there are drains and there are charges. So drains puts stress on your metabolism. Charges take stress off your metabolism. And so what you want to do is you want to avoid drains or avoid stress as much as possible. And you want to prioritize charges. So anything that is going to enable rest, recovery, relaxation, resilience. And so just to give you a couple of ideas here, because we can't go into it all, but drains would be any kind of mental stress, poor time management, saying yes to absolutely everything and feeling overwhelmed, having a hard time regulating your emotions. Physical, there's so many. I mean, I have a list of about 100 different physical stressors, but blood sugar management, poor sleep, not drinking enough water, having food sensitivities, chronic caloric restriction, right? There are so many. So we want to avoid them as much as possible. And then we want to seek, again, rest, recovery, relaxation, and resilience. This is doing maybe less exercise. Or it could be obviously meditation or forest bathing or getting a spa date or learning how to handle your stress, right? There are lots and lots and lots that we can talk about here. But if you can just kind of, for now, understand that there are drains to your stress and there are charges. And we want to make sure that there are at least as many charges as there are drains, if not more, and understand that stress, we all have our sweet spot. Okay. And you all have your own stress load. If you go over, you're not going to lose weight. You got to get back into the sweet spot. So this is another pillar you can work on. All right. Moving forward, we're going to go into number 6, which is your caloric allotment. And so basically, yes, you've got to watch your calories, but you also have to watch where those calories are coming from, because where those calories are coming from will have an impact on your caloric intake, your hormones, and your consistency once again. And I'll give you some examples. So for instance, macros, right? So dialing in your macros. So how much protein you're eating, how many carbs you're eating, how much fat you're getting, right? Simple ideas here. So for example, protein, just to give you an example of how it can have an effect on your metabolism, it increases the thermic effect of food. which means how many calories you burn by simply digesting your food. And protein, this is one of the reasons that it is like every single weight loss program out there almost will tell you to eat more protein because of this reason. The other reason is because it's going to help you to build muscle mass. And the more muscle mass you have, the better your metabolic speed. Okay. Another example, carbs. Carbs increase the action of insulin. Insulin tells your body to store energy and store it as fat. And so if you want to have an impact on your on how your body is using food and storing energy, you can manipulate your carbs. You can also manipulate your fat. So fat is one of those foods that A, has less impact on insulin, and B, is extremely satisfying. It's super satisfying. So many of the women in my program actually come to me and are like, do I have to eat all the food? And it's not like they're eating that many calories, but it's so satiating, right? And so sometimes I have to pull like fat out of their diet just to make sure that they're eating their 3 meals because it's so satisfying. Another one when it comes to calories is quality, right? So you may have heard the term, if it fits your macros. So this is popular in the diet industry, especially like with bodybuilders. So if it fits your macros basically means it doesn't matter where the calories are coming from, as long as you hit your protein target and your carbs and your fat. Well, that might work if you're a 25-year-old male and you're in the gym, but it does not work if you're a 47-year-old female that sits at her desk all the time. So a Pop-Tart, the calories from Pop-Tart and the calories from a sweet potato, they might equate to the same amount of carbs. They do not do the same thing in your body. Okay, so you have to make sure that the calories you're getting are quality calories, because that's going to play a role. Another example is you could say a tablespoon of vegetable oil and a tablespoon of olive oil both have X amount of calories. Well, this might be true, but one is going to cause inflammation and one's going to help you to tame inflammation. So again, where your food is coming from is going to have a huge impact on your ability to lose weight. And then finally, when it comes to your caloric allotment or where your calories are coming from, I think that making sure that you're getting it from the right sources is going to help you with your consistency and your adherence. And my 4 favorite things to help women with consistency and adherence is making sure that their meals have protein, fiber, fat, and bonus, lots of liquid. If I can do that, right? If I can create meals that have those 4 things, I know they're not going to get hungry in between meals, and they're not going to crave anything, and they'll be able to adhere to the plan and stay consistent, especially if I make it taste good. Okay. All right. Number 7, micronutrients. Okay. This is another pillar that, again, not all nutrition coaches, not all diets, not all women are thinking about, but your micronutrient status will have a massive impact on how well your metabolism is functioning, right? And it will determine your metabolic identity, right? So you've got to think about this, and I'll give you a couple of ideas. If you don't have enough zinc or enough selenium or enough iodine, your thyroid isn't going to function properly and your metabolism is going to slow down. If you don't have enough vitamin B, you're going to have poor energy and you won't want to do anything. You won't want to exercise. You won't want to move. You won't want to cook healthy meals. If you don't have enough omega-3s in your diet from fish, my favorite source of omega-3s, you're going to have more inflammation because your omega-3s have to balance out with your omega-6s. If you're not getting enough protein and specifically leucine, you're probably going to not have enough muscle mass to maintain metabolic speed. So all of these things come into play. All right, moving on. Number 8, we are almost there. Okay. Your eating window. Okay, this is another pillar that you can play with, and your meal frequency. So I am a really big fan of, I don't like grazing. I don't like this concept of 6 meals a day because of the impact that it has, once again, on insulin. Every time you eat, even if you're eating healthy food and you're doing it 6 times a day, you're spiking your insulin 6 times a day. If you've got insulin, you are not burning fat. It's that simple. So I'm a much bigger fan of just do 3 meals, space them out. If you can, don't even snack in between. And on top of that, if you can extend your overnight fast and give your body a chance to drop your blood glucose and drop your insulin and spend more time getting energy from your body. Because if you think about it, if you're constantly feeding your body food, why on earth would it go and use the stored energy in your fat cells, right? And we have to go through these periods of feast and famine, feast and famine. That is what our body is designed to do. But most of us are like feast, 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 feast. We're eating all the time, okay? Now, that being said, too much of a good thing is bad, especially for women. So while I'm a really big fan of intermittent fasting, again, stress, right? The metabolism is a stress barometer. Fasting is a stressor. And it's even more so a stressor in women. And so what happens is when women fast too often, there are metabolic adaptations. So maybe your body starts to produce less estrogen, less progesterone, less testosterone. Maybe your thyroid starts to kind of slow down. All adaptations. You have to think about all of these things. Number 9, we're moving on. Taming inflammation. This is a big one because it is really hard to lose weight when you are in an inflamed body. And so when you think about your diet, when you think about your approach, when you think about your strategies, I want you to think about what can you do to tame inflammation. So you want to avoid inflammatory foods. And by the way, April is going to be an anti-inflammatory April month. We're going to be diving into inflammation, but you want to avoid inflammatory foods. The biggest culprit is sugar. Okay. Another example is like dirty keto, right? Like women go like dirty keto to lose weight, but they're like loading up on all of these foods that are potentially causing inflammation in their body. It's not going to help. Food sensitivities. This is where you have to start to figure out like specific to your body. Like, you know, I can eat nuts. Can you eat nuts? I don't know. I can eat eggplants, but maybe for you, nightshades are a trigger. We have to, this is where it kind of gets down to like really customizing and personalizing your nutrition. Other forms of inflammation or triggers are stress, as well as toxins, right? So toxins in our environment. And this could be like, you know, your shampoo, your cosmetics, it could be mold in your house. There's lots of different things that cause inflammation, but this is a pillar that we need to start thinking about when we're talking about successful weight loss. And then finally, mindset. Mindset is a pillar. It has nothing to do with what you're eating and everything to do with what you're eating, because if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to stay on track. You will not stay on track. And again, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, you need to get into the right mindset. So a couple of examples here is like, you know, if you struggle with all or nothing thinking or perfectionism, and you're either on a diet or off a diet, then you got to figure out like how to change that mindset. You've got to work on your mindset. But get some self-help books. Start thinking about the beliefs that you've created. Start building awareness. And that's another one, is building self-awareness, right? You know, in my program, I get women to reflect, you know, what went well, what didn't go well, why not? What can you do next week? We have to start using our brain. We have to start thinking about failure as not as a setback, but as feedback that we can use moving forward. We have to get out of this restrictive diet mentality, and we have to start thinking about more of like flexible dieting and how to moderate. And all of this boils down to your thoughts, your beliefs, your patterns. And so you have to make sure that your mindset is in the right place. And that is an extremely important toggle. And none of these toggles are in any particular order. They are all important. What I wanted to do today is really just kind of give you a massive breakdown of all of that. Inside the group, I have talked about all of these topics multiple times. I'm in the process of creating guides for you guys. So if you go to the group and you see the tab that says guides, you'll see I'm starting to build it out. And I'm going to build out these different pillars for you. And then I want you to start attacking them one by one, because if you try and do it all at the same time, unless you're in my program and you've got a structured nutrition and a structured workout plan and a coach to move you through it all, don't try and do it all at once. Tackle one pillar at a time. Tackle a pillar, move on. Tackle a pillar, move on. So that's it for today. I got to go because I've got another call in 1 minute. Thank you so much for joining. Sorry, no time for Q&A today. We can talk about this again. What I would love you to do is put any questions below that you have. I'll get back to you. I'm happy to do that. Thank you for watching. If you found that super helpful, do me a favor, give me a heart in the comments. If you have some friends in this group, can you tag them and let them know that I just did this today so that we can start to get this information out there? Thank you so much. Thank you, Janice. Thank you for everyone for watching. Hi, Donna. Oh my goodness. Hi, Michelle. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.